tariffs as well as Uganda's electricity sector. Pretty much in the situation where Ugandans are very worried about some of the tariffs by umeme, or sometimes when you look at the Yaka units that are always given out at a time, sometimes you get to pay for 10 units and then you receive 5. That is, if at all you've paid 10,000 or 20,000 and then you receive either less or more units. Sometimes Ugandans are asking themselves questions, how does Umeme calculate these particular units while giving them out after getting or receiving your Yaka token? I'm Jerome Paul Sonko, this is Smart Means Business, and we're getting good again. It is Friday, the 16th of September, 2022. And yet another day for you to make some good money for yourself. Yet another day to impact your society. It's yet another day for you to see how best you can include yourself in the national matters of the economy. And clearly, when you look at awareness situations, or how you get to understand the space, the economic space, you get to realize it is important for you as an individual to know of what is coming in through and how best you can go by in that way. Now, as we are summing up the entire week, as we've definitely been driving it through, and the month of September is also steadily already getting done. If you're to look at that, only we are already halfway the month. That means by the end of hopefully 2 weeks from now, we shall be welcoming the month of October. So that clearly takes you back to a situation where you get to ask yourself lots of questions in one way or the other. Questions of situation where if you set your goals at the beginning of this month, how far have you gone, or are you still patiently waiting for things to fall in the way they are supposed to be? So it is something that you can definitely see and something that you can be part of in that way or the other. Speaking of the year moving on steadily, and speaking of the fact that now we are into a new financial year, so far moved 3 months so far with the financial year, July, August and September, and then we get to understand more of the other situations that as the year comes to an end, you realize there are lots of things that traders are adopting, others are actually marketing in using various strategies in a simple way, because they do believe this way it will be very, very easy for them to at least get some money before the year ends. I believe when you look at downtown Kampala, how business is normally moving in, you could clearly see that it's not so busy during daytime, reason being that there is a lot of rain lately in most of the areas in town, so people were actually doing business out of the shops, so that are actually doing outdoor businesses. People who are doing outdoor centered businesses are currently facing it rough because of the rains that continue to fall every other day. If it doesn't rain in the morning, it will definitely pour in the evening. So this is the kind of situation we've been through in the month of September, whereby you get to realize also traffic jam has affected the business community entirely in Uganda. So these are some of the things that you look at. Now, when you look at the upcoming events that will be happening at the before this year ends in terms of the business perspective, we do expect an international trade fair that will be happening at the Lugogo Showgrounds. We also this particular one is one that usually used to take place annually before COVID-19 hit the global scale. And then when you look at the situation, this international trade fair almost attracts every other sector, from the micro, the macro, small and medium-sized enterprises all participate in this one, because they have lots of things to showcase during the entire expo or during the entire trade fair. Now, as the trade fair is actually taking place, you realize people have goods they put on they actually put on display. They have commodities, or they have services that they render out in one way or the other, for the people to actually understand that this is how things are moving. And if you're to look at the upcoming trade fair, it is estimated to attract over 300,000 foreign tourists who are expected to attend this one, which is going to be organized by the Uganda Manufacturers Association. So in the long run, you get to see that such trade fairs are attracting different investors and also attracting different buyers, potential customers to tap into here. So as much as we are fighting to push for the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy, we want our manufacturing sector to grow bigger. And the best way to see it growing is to at least include ourselves in what is coming through or what is happening in regards to how the business trends are moving on. When you look at the global scale of the economic graphs as they're actually being presented, you get to realize that inflation is hitting most probably everywhere, and it's actually eating up slowly by slowly. That is where you get to realize it's not that easy. If I am to ask my producer to at least give you some of the footage as it is happening from situations in Chikubo or downtown Kampala, as you can see now, that is on a day that is actually free. No rain, it is just cool weather, and those are some of the scenes that normally happen in downtown Kampala, as you can definitely see in there. So when you look at that, most of the businesses or most of the small enterprises in Uganda, small and medium, are basically running outdoor enterprises. So in most cases, at a time like this, now people like those, on the vendors who are actually dealing in clothes and all that, once it is actually raining, it is very difficult. The International Trade Fair, these people are not going to be part of those that will be exhibiting, because at least with the International Trade Fair, there is a certain type of people who actually exhibit. Now, when they exhibit, this particular one exhibit to potential customers, potential clients who actually giving them chances of expansion. Now, on a daily situation in Kampala or downtown Kampala, business is always moving on as usual, and it's something that you would actually expect. But also speaking of the other situations that are actually coming up later on this year, before the year ends, we do also expect the Financial Reporting Awards. Yesterday, we had a guest in here, and we are talking about how these particular Financial Reporting Awards will take place, how they intend to change the financial reporting situation in bookkeeping as well as business running. Because when you look at the situation, if you are a business person, financial reporting is very vital for you to at least get to understand how your business is moving, and on the other hand is to actually ensure best industry practice in terms of record keeping and in terms of auditing. So with the financial reporting, you get to know how your company is faring, how is it performing, are there losses, are there profits that you're making, how are you going to be able to stay valid in space, how are you going to be able to at least make every coin count if you're a business person or if at all you're an accountant. But with the financial reporting that normally happens once every year, something that gives you a long time for you to at least estimate and at the end of the day evaluate yourself and your business in one way or the other. So these are some of the key events that are coming up this year. We were actually expecting the UK Uganda Investment Summit, this UK-Uganda Trade Summit, which was supposed to happen the week under which Queen Elizabeth passed on. So you can see we'll be expecting to see what next or which other summits are coming up in Uganda or out of Uganda, where Ugandans and the private sector of Uganda will be participating in this one. Look at most of these summits, by the way, they attract quite a number of Ugandan business-minded people. It may be non-government organizations or as well as people under the private sector. People are actually attracted under this very summit, because when the government is setting up these summits or when the government is actually signing up for these summits or such investment decisions, they want to target or they aim at targeting potential market spaces. It may be both on the African continent or on the international scene, and those are some of the things that normally come through to provide room for everyone who takes part in the situation. So these are some platforms that normally happen, and when you also get to realize is that with now the East African integration also growing stronger, there are lots of discussions by the member states to ensure that every other person who engages in business activations or any other person who actually engages in the value chain of the economy or contributes greatly to the East African community is going to benefit, because by creating market for every other person, whether you're in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, let's say Rwanda, the DRC now, South Sudan, we have also Somalia coming in space over there, you get to see that it's easier for people. And when you look at a country like Uganda here, dominantly it's a country that is known to be one of the most entrepreneurial countries. And when we speak of Uganda being one of the world's most entrepreneurial countries, you get to also understand that it's a country where we have a lot of business-minded people. Starting up a business in Uganda is quite easy because people do have the skills in there, or they also have the plans, but they only fall short of initial capital sometimes. But if it is only starting up a business that has that needs less capital, or starting up businesses that clearly don't need a lot of planning, you will clearly get a Ugandan getting a business. But the only challenge that we have now is to create a business that withstands the test of time. Just recently here, there was a report that was released that 60% of Ugandan businesses, self-employed businesses or Ugandan businesses, are at the verge of closing down or at the verge of collapsing. If you're to remember back in the time during COVID-19, we got to realize some people lost their businesses and others decided to apply for new jobs. Imagine someone who has been owning a business applying for a new job. Now that clearly shows you how times were hard. Then we had people who were already employed, and after being laid off or after failing to at least accommodate their life during or only with that particular job, they decided to open up only their own businesses and quit the jobs. So now when you look at that, all these people fall under the 60% of the businesses that are likely to close down at the end of this year. And that report is a shocking one, but the bigger question would be, where is the challenge and why are we in such a situation? So these are some of the things that we need to follow up and steadily see how best we can go on and how we can follow on the situations, we as Ugandan people, and how best we can take part in this journey of ensuring that there is prospects of economic recovery onto our businesses and onto our economy. And then we shall clearly see how we go by that situation. So these are some of the things that we keep looking at, and these are some of the things that keep us moving every other day that passes by. And it's a situation that we should be very proud of, by the way, because at the end of the day, you realize we are an entrepreneurial country. The only worry that comes is the fact that these businesses don't last long, and that is the challenge that we have to address. We need to find solutions to that particular issue before it steadily eats us up. So that is it for this particular situation. I'll be right back after the break to discuss more about the business. I also have the SMB Insight coming up shortly after. So stick around. This is Smart Means Business.